You're the one who's in trouble. Steve, thanks. It's Steve Leishman. As I said, Steve's going to continue to monitor all of this. And Steve, please do come back and let us know if there's anything that we need to know. But you see the markets here, and that's what all of you need to know, that we are now, this is the highs of the day for stocks. We are 1% away on the S&P 500 from a new all-time high. And the market has crept higher ever since word of that ceasefire out of the Middle East came through earlier today. And we're holding these levels. It's very interesting. The investment committee is with me today, too. Josh Brown, Joe Terranova, Stephanie Link, and Carrie Firestone, if you will, Josh. The biggest equity inflows in 7 weeks, according to B of A and their client flows. More tech buying as well. We have the tech sector hitting a high for the first time since December. So this is game on for that trade.
It is. And one of the things that I keep returning to is just like, if you're paying attention to stocks and not just the stock market, then you understand exactly why we're approaching highs at this point. We've neutralized the worst of what we thought would happen with the tariffs. Now we seem to be getting a little bit of a handle on the geopolitical risk, and the market has rendered its verdict, which is LOL. And look at the stocks that are going up. To Carrie's point, the NASDAQ 100 is 0.09% away from all-time highs, not 52-week highs, all-time highs. Within the S&P 500, 67% of the technology sector stocks are above their 20-day moving average. These are micro bull markets within macro bull markets. 78% of tech stocks are above the 50-day, 56% above the 200-day, and those numbers are climbing. About 9% of S&P tech names are currently at 52-week highs, and the XLK overall, the sector overall, the RSI is about 70. That bull market is the most important bull market to what the average does, to what the index does. We all know that. What's the second most important? Financials. Here is a sampling of companies that are within 5% of their 52-week highs right now. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citi. You have not seen a market top where all of those names are within 5% of their highs. Those markets tend to persist. And even away from the big banks, look at Coinbase. It's the best performing stock in the S&P financial sector year to date. It's up almost 40% on the year, and it wasn't exactly a low price stock heading into the year. So when you have financials and you have tech doing what they're doing, that's like, I don't know, 40% of the market cap of the S&P. That's really all you need to understand about why we are where we are.
By the way, I'm just noticing, do you see Uber?
I do.
Uber's up 7.5%.
Yes.
Today.
And guess what?
Tesla's lower. Is it directly related to what some may have thought was a lackluster launch of robotaxi over the weekend?
Well, I think it also has to do with Waymo announcing that they're going to be expanding into Atlanta. That's obviously favorable, the relationship that exists there. But Uber is an example of what? An industrial stock. And we're talking about financials and technologies. Industrials are the best performing sector year to date, and they haven't let us down in this quarter. This quarter, they're up 10%. So they are participating as well. The semis, to Josh's point, they are now engaged. They had been dormant for quite a while. Look at a name like KLA Corp. I'll tell you that the strongest momentum name, which we actually do not own right now in the semi universe, is AMD. Pull up a chart. It's trading about 136.
You can pull up a bunch of different ones. AMD's up almost 6%. Micron's up almost 4%. Broadcom today hits a new record high. That stock got upgraded at HSBC. $400 is the price target, the new one for shares of Broadcom. And there's broad ownership. But Steph, you've been in this thing a long time.
A long time, and actually inference demand is inflecting. They said that on their conference call, and you need custom ASIC chips for inference, and because you have to balance the efficiency and the power. And so that is where they are a winner, and they are gaining momentum. And in the meantime, they have earnings growth of 44%, revenue growth of 20%. They have industry high margins. They rose 320 basis points last quarter, year over year. That's huge. So they've got pricing power, free cash flow. I don't like an upgrade here because it's had such a nice run, but I understand the enthusiasm for the name.
Yeah. Applied Materials to 220 from 200, overweight at Cantor. Carrie, you got that, right?
Yeah, I think it's part of the same scenario. I mean, we're so interested, of course, in what's going on in the whole AI universe. And you can't do that without the equipment to make the chips. And that demand is insatiable. It still appears. We heard about it the last quarter. We're going to hear about it in 4 weeks, too. So that's a name that, you know, we feel you have to own.
Let's circle back real quick to give me an Uber again, guys, please. Josh, I'd like your take on this. As we watch that stock surge, the new news related to what happened this weekend was that the robo-taxi incidents caught on camera in Austin draw regulators' attention. That's a CNBC.com headline, and you can check that out for yourself and read through the story. Is this a direct reaction to what was a limited rollout, and then whomever is going to opine on whether it met the moment or not? But this stock move in Uber is pretty interesting, I'd say.
Look, Tesla shareholders have already fully priced in the robo-taxi according to the sell side. I read all the notes. They're all like, okay, great, but kind of the stock already rallied on this. We get it. In the meanwhile, they had 10 cars on the road. The cars had human drivers in them. They had a couple of minor incidents, which don't seem like that big of a deal. You have to really hate Tesla to say that that was a flop. But when you consider who's in the cars, it's Dan Ives, it's Tesla influencers from social media, it's fans. So what did you think the rider feedback was going to be? So look, I think it's actually a positive that Tesla is now in this market. This has been an overhang for shareholders of Uber since they announced that they were going. And every time there's like positive headlines about robo-taxi, stupid people sell off the stock of Uber because they don't understand. The big picture here is that autonomous is great. Tesla should have a great service. So should Waymo. And Uber's role in this ecosystem is to partner with all of the autonomous players who are going to exist and make money as a result of the fact that the human driver is the most expensive part of the experience for both you, the consumer, and for Uber, the company. It's called take rate. The take rate to the human driver is the highest cost part. So this is all positive for Uber. The street is waking up to that. Stock is the #1 performer in the S&P 500 today. I was pounding my fist on the table on this show 700 times every time it fell on news of competition. The rollout in Atlanta today is important. It's the second city. They're already in Austin with Waymo. The rollout of Uber and Waymo together in Atlanta is super important. It's a whole other region of the country where people will log into the Uber app, see that there's an autonomous vehicle, it's a Jaguar, from Waymo, take that ride and have their minds blown. And that's what the stock is reacting to right now. This is my largest position personally. I've been saying it's my highest conviction, still is. I don't know why it's under $100 a share. It makes no sense to me. And even when it gets there, I'm not selling.
You know, there's another stock that's been doing well. It's Toast. That's your stock too. It's up 4.5% this week, almost 22% year to date. You got a breakout on your hands, right?
Yeah, $25 billion market cap. This is recently added to my best stocks in the market list. We wrote it up for CNBC Pro the other day. This is a stock that's about to make a 52-week high, in my opinion. 45 it hit in the middle of May, backed off on low volume. That's exactly the setup that you want to see for a new breakaway. And the reality is this. This is a company that has effectively dominated the restaurant and hospitality space for payments, but it's so far beyond a payments play. Every restaurant that they get their terminals into, there's a high cost up front, right? They have to give all the waiters and waitresses the little handheld thing that they come to the table with. There's setup costs, there's time, there's money being spent. But once they get in, they never leave. And when you look at the growth of cash flows that this company is showing Wall Street relatively early in the evolution of this industry, you understand that that growth is fairly rare in the S&P 500, combined with the inertia of clients who don't walk away. It's reminiscent to me of Salesforce in the early days. This is becoming the industry standard for payments, and they're signing bigger and bigger enterprise deals with Applebee's recently, with the entire Marriott chain, and they're just barely scratching the surface internationally. So Toast is something that started as a trade and has since become a long, now a conviction long. I added to it the other day, which we talked about. Again, this is a name that so dominant of its space, I'm surprised it's still at 44.
Got a nice breakout, Steph, in the banks as well. You have names like your Wells Fargo up 1.3%. JP Morgan hits a new record high. Some of the regionals like State Street at a new high as well. Citigroup up 2%. Goldman up another 2.2%.
So we talked about the Morgan Stanley Bank Conference last week. All of the companies had good things to say about M&A, the pipeline, and improving demand, better deals, better equity capital markets. It's not going to be all perfect when they report earnings, but I think the numbers are going to be good.
Yeah, and they kick off the season.
I think, yes, they do in 2 weeks, and I do think it's going to be good. I think the net interest income story has yet to play out. That's your catalyst. You have regulation that is easing, that will help capital and buybacks, and the stocks are still really cheap relative to the market and actually on an absolute basis, too. So to me, I think I'm overweight. I'm going to stay overweight.
All right. So we'll take a quick break. We're going to come back. We have many calls of the day to get through and ownership all over the place. We do have Josh's best stocks in the market list as well, a new addition that you need to know about. We'll do all that when we come back. We have a new best stock in the market, according to Josh Brown on his list. It's Disney. How did this make the cut?
Yeah, I was very surprised myself. You know, one of the reasons why we keep this list is so that rather than just accept what the narratives are, just generally speaking on social media or in the media, we can see what's going on with our own two eyes and what's actually working. And this is a big surprise for me. 7 entertainment industry stocks are now on the list. Disney is one of them. Liberty Media is on there. Live Nation, Netflix, which we've talked about, Spotify the same. Roblox is on there, and so is Take-Two. And if you're not paying attention to stocks and you're just listening to broad market commentary, sometimes you could miss the forest for the trees. I think what's going on here is very simple. Stephanie said this in the A block, and she's exactly right. The consumer is consuming. The median year-to-date return for these 7 media stocks on my list is 17.5%. The median return for every other stock in the S&P is about 1%. So this area of the market is outperforming despite everything that we hear about how stressed the consumer is. 90% of the S&P entertainment names are within 10% of a 52-week high. The only one that isn't is Warner Brothers, which has its own problems. Disney is a really great setup, in my opinion. The stock popped onto our list because Wall Street is now giving the company a lot more credit for 125 million global Disney Plus subscribers. They have 12% market share in streaming, video on demand, which is probably their most important growth business right now. They did about $3 billion in streaming revenue last quarter, and they're having a pretty decent box office summer so far. Not amazing, but not bad. The setup here is very simple. A break below $100 tells you the momentum is gone and the market's opinion is shifted. That's a really easy stop loss to implement. On the way up, about 120 would be a pretty massive breakout, given how long it's been consolidating. I don't know what the catalyst needs to be for that to happen, but if and when it goes, there just aren't a lot of sellers left here. So I really like the setup for investors, maybe not short-term traders, but for investors. I think this one could work.
Yeah, I mean, the others on the list, Netflix, record high, Roblox, 52-week high, Spotify, record high, Take-Two, record high as well. All right.
Hello, welcome to Blue Cloud Trading. My name is George. It is Tuesday, June 24th, approximately 8 p.m. as I'm recording this video. You'll see up above here that it is after the close, obviously. And check out the markets today, up 1.19% for the Dow. NASDAQ was up 1.43. S&P 500 was up 1.11. And the Russell 2000 was up 1.27%. We just saw Josh Brown guests on the halftime report. What I generally do is I'll take a look at those specific stocks that in this case, Josh Brown brought up on the show. So here's what we're going to cover in this video. Let me show you the list of stocks that he talked about. So we got, Goldman Sachs, Disney, Spotify, okay, Bank of America. We're going to look at all of these, okay, including the XLF ETF. We're going to take a look at the indices And we'll also take a quick look at the Mag 7 stocks in this video. So let's get started first by taking a look at the markets once again. We want to see what the heat map looks like. And you can see the specific stocks that were up today. NVIDIA was up quite a bit, 2.59%. So was Broadcom. And Meta was up. A lot of the financial stocks were up, but the energy stocks got hit. You can see Exxon down 3.04, CVX down 2.25. Yeah, and Tesla was down 2.35%. Here is the group screener, which basically shows us how the specific sectors performed. You can see technology was up 2% today. Financials up 1.57, communication services at 1.5, energy down 1.08. And then for the week itself, energy is down 2.73%. Financials, technology, real estate are the top. So let's look at these ETFs like the SPY ETF, and we are using the Ichimoku indicator. Many of you are already familiar with this indicator. If you're not, just a quick synopsis of the indicator. What we're looking for, essentially, with this is for price, these Japanese candlesticks that you see here, to be above the 9 period, the green line, Tenkan-sen, above the 26 period, Kijun-sen. That's the midpoint of each candle on both of those. And then we've got the Chikou span there. That's today's closing price, for example. That's projected 26 periods ago. We want that white line to actually be, sorry about that. That was the air conditioning coming on. It's about, we have a heat wave going on here in the Northeast. I'm sure you guys have already heard about it. Anyway, what was I saying? We were talking about the Chikou span, the white line that you see there. That's the closing price. Today's closing price projected 26 periods ago. What we're looking for is that white line to be above the candle 26 periods ago. That's a bullish situation. Sometimes when it's under, like it was back here, okay, that was negative territory, and that's not good. We also want price to be, okay, we want it to be above the Ichimoku cloud. And we want the Senkou span A, the lighter colored blue line, the upper part of the cloud that you see right there, to be above the Senkou span B. That's all bullish, okay? This projects 26 periods into the future. The Senkou span A is comprised by taking the midpoint of the last, the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen, the two moving averages, and projects that midpoint 26 periods into the future. That's where you'll find it, always. The purple line is the midpoint of the last 52 periods, Senkou span B. All right. So the S&P 500 looks great right now. It looks perfect, actually. In fact, it also broke through. See that high right there, that little prior high from, oh, I might already have a line on there. No, I don't have a line on that one, but I do have a line on the prior high up there. So it broke up above that high of 605.06, that candle right there. That's very bullish. I think that now it's going to probably continue. Now, these are the highs. 613.23 is the high it needs to break so that we have all-time highs, right? Because the last time we reached that level was back over here on that candle back on February 19th, 2025. And so we're not that far away from that 613.23. We're about 1% away. The QQQ ETF, it reached that level of 540.81. That's the prior high right there, going back to, let's see, what is that? February 19th. So the question is, will it have enough, I suppose, momentum tomorrow and energy to break through that level? And we want a concisive break, right? Because right now it's reached that resistance level. And notice how it just stalled right at it, right? So that's really important for tomorrow. The Dow Jones, it broke through this prior high, but as you can see, we do have a most recent high. I'm going to fix that right now. 432.06 is really the level that I would be looking for price to break above for the Dow, which is the DIA ETF. And if it can break through that level, then I think that's good on the daily chart. But let's look at the weekly chart, though, too. The weekly chart's also looking good. Check this out. So this is the Tenkan-sen on the weekly. All right. And the Tenkan-sen is above the Kijun-sen. That's very bullish. The Chikou span just got above the closing price. You can see that happened today. Remember, that white line is projected 26 periods into the past. The cloud itself has become bullish. This is all good things. The only thing I'm concerned about is the 432.06 level. It's kind of consolidating in that tiny little box that you see right here. Okay. Can it break through that level? If it can, then the next level where it will find resistance is 451.34. How far is that from where we currently are? Maybe about 4.5% or so. What about the Russell 2000? Russell 2000 was also up 1.27%, but the Russell has been struggling more than the other indices. It's been stuck under the Ichimoku cloud. One of the rules of Ichimoku is you do not want to place a trade on a stock that when price is under. Now that's the case for the weekly chart, and that's a longer term time frame. I personally like to look at both the weekly and daily before making a decision on entering a new trade. If I see that there's weakness here on the weekly, I'm not going to even consider it. There's other opportunities out there. Why chase something or take a chance? You're really, you're rolling the dice. Basically, you have a higher probability if both of the time frames, the weekly and the daily time frame, give you, basically the same outlook. And right now, it's still bearish. You can see the Chico span here is still underpriced on the weekly chart for the Russell. Here's the daily though. And look at the daily chart. Now, this yellow dotted line that you see right here, that's the 200-day moving average. It's going to retest that area and see if it can break through that level as well. Everything starts, of course, with the shorter time frames, right? So it's going to be a little bit slower for the weekly to start showing all that strength. You can certainly choose to trade based on the daily and maybe switch it down to a 2-hour, have 2 time frames. You can look at the daily and then, to get a more, I suppose, better fill on your trade, you use a 2-hour. Okay, so here's a 2-hour on the Russell. You can see it's pretty bullish, but again, that's the area that I'd want to get through above that 216 or so level. Okay, the VIX was down 11.85%. Why did the VIX? Why is the volatility coming out of the markets? Well, there's been some more positive news, I suppose, in the, as far as the what's going on with Israel, Iran. The Dow, S&P 500, Nasdaq futures waver as Israel-Iran ceasefire appears to hold, at least for the time being. Okay, but it is a very fluid situation. We don't know exactly what might happen tomorrow, the next day, or the week or next week. So we have to just kind of go with whatever information we currently have, basically. So that's some good news there for the VIX. And then what about FEZ? FEZ is the Euro Stocks 50 ETF. Here it is on the weekly chart. Got back above that Tenkan. Here it is on the daily, getting back above the 2 moving averages as well. See how it was a temporary little break under right here, under the Chico span was under price for 1 day, and then it reestablished itself. So this is really bullish, what we're seeing here. This pattern actually reminds me of something called the bullish kicker. It's not exactly like that though, because this candle is green. Normally that's a red candle, and then we have a bullish candle following it. And it kind of looks a little bit like this under the double candle pattern reference sheet on my candle pattern cheat sheet here. This is what it would look like. See that bullish kicker? Let me zoom in right here. So you can see that price was opened here, closed here, but then gapped up, creating a nice little space, and then it took off. It's not exactly like that, but overall, this is all very bullish right here. And that right there, that candle itself, it's called Morubuzu. Hold on. Did I get that right? Let's make sure. Morubuzu. I think that's how they say it. Or Maru. I'm sorry. I'm bad at that. Marubozu. I love these names. They're very interesting. So that's a very bullish single candle. Okay. When you see something like that, it says here neutral. But if it happens at the bottom of a move, that's very bullish. All right, let's see what else. We're going to take a look at the stocks now that they talked about. In fact, not all of them, just the ones that Josh Brown discussed on the show. Here's Goldman Sachs, which is one of the stocks actually that's in the Blue Cloud portfolio. Remember, guys, if you're interested in seeing the stocks that I have in my portfolio, just click on the join button on YouTube, the homepage, and you can access the entire portfolio. In fact, you know what I'll do is I'll just send you, I'll include a link down below in the description section today, so you can check that out if you're interested. So Goldman Sachs, look at this. It's already moved up quite a bit. So I like Goldman Sachs still. I'm still holding up onto that position. Disney is looking pretty bullish, but it is also kind of stuck in this little consolidation. So I wouldn't be doing anything quite yet, personally. What's it look like on the weekly chart? Starting to look a bit more bullish, more and more bullish. You can see there's a resistance at 118.63, that prior week, going back to December 6th of 2024. It's a long time ago. So you can see that how Disney had that drop there from the highs up here. And let's see that. About a 30% drop or so. Now it's recovered. And so the question is, will it break through or will it stall here? Because we're getting a couple of reversal candles on the weekly chart. These 3 weeks here, you can see it stalled multiple times, right? It pierced with that long upper wick, but then closed under 118.63. Spotify. This was Joe T's final trade, but Josh Brown also likes this stock. You can see this one has done really well. That's the weekly chart. Here's the daily chart. Very, very bullish. I like this chart. It's looking good. TTWO, Take Two, Intera Software. This stock has been doing pretty well technically. You can see that for multiple weeks now, it has held above the 2 moving averages in the Ichimoku cloud. I do like that. And on the daily chart, whoops, there it is, daily chart, still looks good, very bullish. Bank of America is looking pretty good. On the daily chart, it does have a reversal candle, though. I don't typically add positions when I see something like this. Weekly chart looks very bullish. Okay. Wells Fargo on the weekly, stalling at that 78.13 level. On the daily chart, you can see that create a doji. I would not be adding here because it's at a resistance level. Coinbase has been doing pretty well. It was up 12.10%. That's the daily chart right there, coming close to these highs. Oh, in fact, yep. Let me just throw that trend line on there. It's a daily level of 349.75. 349.75. And so look where it reached. It came right to it and stalled, right? There's the those 2 prior highs, and then the price dropped. It dropped a lot. Now it's retesting it. Was unsuccessful in breaking through it because the price is at 344.82. So nothing to do quite yet here. If you got in over here, that would have been a nice trade, obviously, because what you see here is it broke a trend line there. Price got above that trend line. It was above the Tenkan and Kijun, above the 200, above the cloud. Everything was looking good. Right now, you probably missed that, okay, if you didn't get into it. XLF is financials. This one here is stalling, okay, at these highs right here. That prior high of May 19th, 2025. Hold off on that one because the next resistance level, 52.26, is just about 1.3% away. Uber. I like what I'm seeing here with Uber. Check it out. Now, I've been talking about this bull flag pattern for many, many, I don't know, episodes where I do my analysis of Uber. So this is what a bull flag looks like here on this other patterns cheat sheet. By the way, you can find these on my X page or Twitter page. My handle is at Blue Cloud Trader. And you can find it under a tab called Highlights. If you scroll down, you'll see them, both this and the candlestick cheat sheet. So this is the bull flag pattern, okay? You can see basically price moving up, and then what you see here is that price starts moving down. You have a series of lower highs and lower lows, but it's a very small and tight drop. It's not really like big moves down. It's not like something like that, okay? It's very tight. And so like it develops what looks like a flag right there. Now, if price breaks through, doesn't always, but if it does break through, that's very bullish. The opposite of that is the bearish variant. It's after a drop, you have this little series of higher highs and higher lows, but that might be short-lived, okay? Right here, you can see that short-lived little pullback. It broke through today. And it was up 7.52%. So I like Uber right now on the daily chart. The Tenkan is just about to cross over the Kijun. The directional movement index also looks very bullish with the positive. DI9 is above the negative DI9 on the weekly chart. Let's look at Uber there. Also looking good. So I do like Uber once again. What about Toast? T-O-S-T. Well, it's stalling. Okay, so if we look at that trend line right there, that needs to be broken, in my opinion. Until then, I wouldn't be jumping into this quite yet. And you can see Tenkan-sen is still under Kijun-sen, and the Chiku span, the white line, is still under the closing price. What about Roblox? Roblox is a very steady Eddy is what I'd call it. It's a steady Eddy stock. Beautiful. Look at that trend line. It's been holding up. It's been holding up above the 9 period, the green line. Isn't it great like how this indicator, it actually will flatten out sometimes. Unlike most moving averages, you know, where they're kind of like rounded, this will actually strengthen the support level when it flattens like you see right there. And so one of the unique aspects about Ichimoku, because it's not looking at closing prices when it's, you know, putting this moving average together, it's looking at the mid point, the average, basically the high and low of each of the candles. In this case, the 9, in this case, the 26, and then it plots it. So the cloud does that too. You can see that right there. All right, so let's continue here. We're going to look at the Mag 7 very quickly. NVIDIA. Okay, now all of a sudden, I do like NVIDIA a lot more. Look at the daily chart here. Very, very tight consolidation again right here. You can see that little box, and it popped through it. So I like that. Now, the next level is 152.89, though. How far is that from where we currently are? It's about 3.3%. So if you're looking for a short, quick little move, that might do well as a trade, but then you're going to find yourself back at a level of resistance of 152.89. Once we get through that, then we're talking all-time highs again for NVIDIA, right? So that's pretty good. And on the weekly chart, also looking good. You can see the cloud turned bullish on NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is starting to look a lot more positive, actually. What about Google? Google is still inside the cloud on the weekly, so I wouldn't be touching Google quite yet. All right. It was up 0.96%, but still under the moving averages. Tesla, a bear. Ooh, that's called a dark cloud cover, folks, is what that is. These two candles right here. Dark cloud cover occurs when you have a bullish candle like this one here, and then the very next day the price gaps up, which is what happened there, and then the bears take control and they push the price down, and it finally closes at 4 p.m. right there. So there's 9:30 a.m. There's 4 p.m. Okay, not good. It was just selling throughout the whole day. What does that look like on the pattern? I'm sorry, the candlestick cheat sheet right there. Again, price gapping all the way to the top, and then the sellers push it. Okay, and then the price closes within the body of the prior candle, and that's exactly what's happened here. Again, gap up, and the closes inside the body. So higher probability of Tesla dropping tomorrow. That's all. It was down 2.35%. Amazon up 2.06%. On the daily chart, it looks pretty good. It's stalled under the 9 period though, so we don't have a buy signal here. We're still under 218.40 as well. Here's the weekly chart. Tenkan-sen needs to cross over here. And the Chiku span is still underpriced. So Amazon's not there yet. Apple is still very in bearish territory, still under the cloud on the weekly chart, and on the daily it's inside. So nothing to do with Apple there. That's it. That's going to do it for this video, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support the channel by becoming a member. Consider becoming a member. Click on the subscribe plus button and check out the description section below. Today I'm going to put some info about that, about how to become a member. All right. Talk to you later.